He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me. AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark with you. It's Monday morning, 6:06. Yeah, the weather's beautiful outside. For all those you listening on the East Coast and all that, where you're frozen, we're 80 degrees yesterday. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Phone lines are open 928-344-5258. And I wanted to thank Winnie this morning right away for Reefs Across America, and that was out there on Saturday. And it's an organization that's nationwide. It 5,000 cemeteries across the nation, U.S. territories, even some foreign grave sites over in Europe, where they lay wreaths at fallen veterans. It's a great program. I've been helping with it for years. I don't do a lot. I just help during the day, MC work and stuff. But it's always well done and honoring fallen troops during this Christmas season. Colonel John Nelson, the Army Proving Grounds here at YPG, commander, was a keynote speaker and stayed to lay wreaths and along with his wife Gina. But Winnie's been putting this thing together for some time, and that includes a lot of things throughout the year and fundraising and getting the group together, ordering all that. I don't know that she's going to continue. I don't know what the plans are in the future. I hope this thing stays together. At one time, Winnie was doing the cemetery out in the foothills on 40th Street. Is that Sun Vista, I think, and also the one in town here. Well, she spun that one off to another organization that only kept it going for, I think, a year, maybe two. And then they did not keep up with it, and that closed. So they did not have the ceremony. And before she spun that off, she was able to build the organization, the local Reefs Across America, to raise enough money to do every single veteran in both of these areas, which was just phenomenal. She did a great job, put together a great program. There's a lot of just to get the veterans groups to make sure they're all there and to get the cemeteries and all that, which are very happy to work with that kind of thing. But thank you, Winnie. Appreciate all those years of service and what you've been able to accomplish. My fact checker, who always sends me lots of articles and keeps me up to date on stuff. I would not normally see some stuff that he grabs that I don't always hit all the news. He hits news I don't. But something to do with Venezuela. Now we know what's going on with Venezuela right now. That it's been under communist type ruling for a number of years now. Continues it's fallen into abject poverty. President Nicolas Maduro has got a stronghold on that. He's staying in charge. I'm thinking he's done pretty well. Him and his cronies do pretty well, but the state itself, Venezuela, has suffered greatly. Business has been nationalized, taken over by the federal government, and then they suffer and can't make ends meet. So they're a mess. They're a mess. And this latest election they had, and it's amazing that there's somebody that stands up and to challenge a leader like Maduro. It'd be like challenging Putin or Xi. I don't know if it's life expectancy is very good after that. I mean, there are elections. We all know they're rigged. We all know the winner is decided before the election starts. Well, this Corina Machado, Machado, she apparently, I guess, made a report say that she won the election last year, and she's been in hiding ever since because it's dangerous to go up against that leader, and she recently got out of the country, and Edward sent me an article that describes a little bit on how she was able to do that, and it was with the help of some U.S. veterans, not active duty personnel, but U.S. veterans that had learned some skill sets that you and I probably don't possess. U.S. Special Forces veteran Brian Stern uh, was, I guess, in charge of an operation, and he's the founder of a Gray Bull Rescue Formation, and there's organizations out there around the world from U.S. veterans that do help out and things. Well, they were charged with getting her out of country. Now, most of us would not know where to begin to get somebody out of country that's probably going to be easily recognizable, probably wanted by the president, wants to have a conversation with her. That may not end well. Tough deal, but to extract somebody like that uh, takes takes some understanding. They ruled out anything by land, thinking that she's so well known, there's going to be so many checkpoints and she would be recognized. The operation, let's see, they had a week to plan the escape. Operation was called Golden Dynamite. I guess they have to name it. And she's the second most popular person in the Western Hemisphere after Madero, which, of course, adds to the complication. Well, the U.S. military has built up significant presence in Venezuela's coast. I'm talking the U.S. now. They're going out by sea, but there was worrisome there because U.S. military has been destroying dozens now of narco trafficking boats in recent months, killing at least 87 people. So they did coordinate somehow with U.S. officials who were made aware they'd be operating in the area. Still's got to be careful. So he was careful that he used a boat that didn't look like one of the narco boats, something smaller, something without four Evinrude engines going as fast as it could go and all that kind of stuff. So he didn't want a giant boat, didn't want the big engines. And right off, the plan didn't go as expected. The boat that Maria Machado was supposed to be on never arrived at the predetermined rendezvous. So they decided they were going to go meet her somehow. And so they changed course and in pitch dark on seas where they don't know who they're going to run into. You could easily run into cartel members. You could easily run into military members or anything like that. May not be good. So they used just flashlights to guide them, and eventually they they uh, they heard her voice, Maria, say, explain who she was, and that's when everybody's skittish and all that. They were close enough to hear the voice, and they were able to pick her up and get her out of country, which is just kind of an amazing thing. And Stern says that Machado was tougher than the crusty veterans at helping her escape. We're all bitching and moaning. It's cold, it's wet, we're hungry, it's dark. She didn't complain once. Stern admitted he was starstruck by Machado. He'd follow her fight for democratic change for years. He'd always assume Venezuelan Iron Lady got her nickname from her political steeliness. But after that night, he says she's something more. He said she's gnarly and she's pretty awesome. That comes from a special forces guy that had to go or had to. He chose to go because he's retired. He's not part of a military operation. He's retired. I had to get her out of Venezuela. So our guys that, I know that our guys that fought for us and fought for freedom and fought for liberty, a lot a lot of them keep their foot in it, or some that I know have kept their foot in it that, continue to help, across the world, in just, they don't let it go. There's still people out there that need saving, and that's in their DNA, it's in their blood. I don't know, but they keep doing it, so hats off to them. Uh, absolutely, absolutely wonderful. Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle are found dead. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Rob, but this kind of thing is shocking, unnecessary, terrible. It when I first read it, I thought maybe there's some kind of accident or something, but apparently not. I mean, there's not been any official word yet exactly. But they were both dead in their home, their California home, and Rob Reiner, 78 years old, and his wife, 68 years old, found dead inside the home. I guess December 14th. That was yesterday at 3:40 p.m. And it says the LAPD officers responded to a death investigation. So I'm thinking, did they start a heater or something? Carbon monoxide, something? No, no. It's being investigated as a homicide. I heard on the radio before I went on air there was some mention of they was stabbed to death or something. Um, pretty horrific and unfortunate. Our prayers go out to the family and everyone involved in that. That was uh, not good. And during this holiday season, the tragedies even seem more tragic somehow. And they just unfortunate as we're celebrating Christmas, we're celebrating all of that, and have something like this unnecessarily happen. And we've had a few of them. We'll talk about it. From Australia to Brown and all that. It's just I don't see any of this hatred is slowing down. Karen Bass, the Los Angeles mayor, who is a horrible mayor, just ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. I'm talking, and looking back at the fires when she went out of town, the reservoirs aren't filled. Ambulances or the fire trucks were not all in service. Just a city falling apart, in a state that's falling apart. And but she did say personally, I'm heartbroken by the tragic loss of Rob and his wife Michelle. I knew Rob and have tremendous respect for him, which is nice. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, Russ.
Well, good morning, sir.
I don't know how much you have discussed the terrorist attack on Bondi Beach in Australia.
Haven't even started it. I saw some video on it and all, man. And what a terrible thing. And I know you spent a lot of time in Australia. You're familiar with Australia politics and all that. Actually, when I looked at it and read it, I was very curious about your perspective.
Yes, well, there's some interesting things there, and I watched a video. There's a lot of video
Yeah.
on this attack. I mean, everybody has cameras, even on the beach, it appears.
And even drones. I saw drone video.
Oh. Yeah, I saw some of that too. And there's at least one video that shows the details of the hero. Ahmed Al-Ahmed is his name. We just don't know his religious affiliation. At least I haven't been able to determine it yet. He's apparently a refugee from Syria that came to Australia a few years ago. I mean, the most likely is that he's Muslim, but there are also Druze and Christian groups in Syria that have large populations that have been heavily persecuted. So it's possible that he might be one of those as well. We just don't know. But we will find out eventually. But he's a very brave man who did heroic things. In the video, you can see him, I would call it, stalking the terrorist. He's between a couple of cars and about 10 yards, 15 yards away from the terrorist. He gets a little closer, then he charges and grabs him and wrestles him. He's probably as large or maybe a little larger than the terrorist, and he manages to wrest the shotgun away from him. It's clearly a shotgun with an extended magazine. I couldn't tell whether it was a semi-auto or a pump shotgun. I suspect. I just don't know. It was. Yeah. It turns out that the firearms were legally acquired by the person who was wielding the pump shotgun.
Yeah, the father. The father had
the father,
yeah.
Right. And then the son had what appeared to me to be a bolt-action rifle with a telescopic sight on it, and the shotgun had a red dot sight on it. And he gets the shotgun away, and the terrorist starts backing away from him. It's kind of like the body language is of "Don't shoot me, don't shoot me," and Ahmed has the shotgun pointed at him, but either he can't make it shoot or he's unwilling to shoot. It has been reported that he had no familiarity with firearms at all.
Oh.
And during the struggle, when he disarmed the terrorist, there was a shot fired. It appeared to me it went into the ground. That it wasn't. Neither person was hit with it, and so we don't know if the shotgun even had any ammunition left in it. I mean, because he had been shooting before, and then this other shot was fired during the struggle. So it's unclear if the shotgun had ammunition, if there was any ammunition if there was a round in the chamber or in the magazine at that time. But then what happens should be a lesson for everyone, because the terrorist is backing away and gets further and further away. And another, his son, as it turns out, we didn't know this at the time, is motioning, probably yelling at him to get back with me.
Mm-hmm.
And as the terrorist is retreating, going toward where the son is on a footbridge about, I'm going to say 50, 60 yards away, another brave man comes up with it, looks like a wine bottle. And he's elderly because he's got a full white beard. And he throws the wine bottle at the retreating terrorist, and then he turns around and goes back. And he tries to, by this time, Ahmed had leaned the shotgun up against the tree, which couldn't get it to work. Makes sense, because people that we've had at least one case that I know of in the United States where a man took down a terrorist. He had a pistol and he shot the guy. A mass killer, somebody who was shooting police in, I think it was Utah. And he goes, and after he shot the guy and the guy's down, he goes over and picks up the person's rifle. And police arrive at that time and they shoot and kill the hero.
Oh, great.
Unfortunate, but it's the only case I know of where that has happened. And we've had many people stop these mass shootings in the United States. So the terrorist the person who throws the bottle tries to get the shotgun to work, and he's next to the Ahmed, and they're by a tree, and he can't seem to get it to work. The terrorist rejoins his son, and then accesses another long gun and starts shooting again. And somewhere, it's unclear because the video goes from place to place. You can't tell exactly what's happening everywhere. Both Ahmed is shot. It turns out he's shot in the upper left arm. And then the older gentleman who threw the bottle is wounded. You see him wounded on camera, on the video. And then he falls down. I don't know if he survived or not.
Wow.
So the lesson here, well, there's more, actually. The video continues. And the terrorist with the rifle, the video is watching him, and behind him you see a police officer coming up behind him with a pistol drawn, and he takes a bead at him, and he's behind, so he's got a clear shot at the guy, and he's about It's hard to know because of the foreshortening of a video,
Mhm.
but I would say probably 15 yards away, maybe
Oh,
20.
that's close.
And he takes the beads. He's got it pointed right at the terrorist, but he doesn't appear to fire.
Wow.
And then the terrorist, for some reason, turns and sees him and starts pointing the rifle toward him. And he takes cover behind a tree, and then he's in a barricade position, with leaning against the tree. And again, the pistol appears to be pointed right toward the terrorist, but again, he doesn't seem to fire because you don't see any recoil motion in his hands. And then the video stops. I don't know what happened after that, but they stopped for some reason. It could be that, I'm pure speculation, that the police officer might have been shot. Don't know. But 2 officers were shot in this horrific episode of Bond in Australia.
Yeah, 16 people did it. That was
6 can get away. They may have other weapons on them. They may have. I mean, this terrorist had a big shells, I'm guessing, and then he also had a backpack on.
Yeah.
So you don't know what he has additionally, and if you manage to disarm him, probably your best thing is just shoot him right away. Because you don't know what else he's going to do. This is for
how many more people he hit, but probably
firearm, and then started shooting at people again.
Yeah.
And who knows who he hit or who was wounded or killed.
Sure.
Very unfortunate. And it's very possible, we don't know, that he shot and wounded the hero who disarmed him, and maybe the other person who tried to make the shotgun work as well. He was shooting in that direction. We can tell that from the video, but when you see a person hit, it doesn't show where the projectile came from.
No.
You
But
see the person that's hit.
we know the father's dead, the 50-year-old man. And the 24-year-old son is in stable but critical condition.
Yes. And we don't, there's a lot that's going to be coming out in the near future. I hope. In the reporting so far that I've seen, I haven't seen anyone talking about the fact that after the terrorist was disarmed, he went and got another long gun and started firing again.
Yeah, he did. And there were some IEDs in the car, explosives.
Appears to be. I become a little skeptical because early reporting is often
correct,
inaccurate. And but that's what has been reported, and it may be. I mean, IEDs are not particularly difficult to make if you have time and a place to work.
These were described as rudimentary by the bomb squad.
Yeah,
but fairly basic, and they were grateful they didn't detonate. But,
yeah, right. No, that makes sense. It's I would, I hesitate to give out too much technical information, but it's obvious that the father had access to at least some ammunition, and if you have access to ammunition, you have access to gunpowder.
And that was one of my questions in Australia. Access to ammunition or access to guns is rare. There's not very many. I mean, they've pretty much banned firearms in Australia.
It's a little more complicated. A large number of firearms were confiscated with remuneration. They were confiscated, but they were also, people were paid for them. And the prices that were paid for them back in 96, 97 were good, actually a little higher than I would call market value in a lot of cases.
Okay.
So people had an incentive to turn them in, and people turned in several 100,000, as I recall. However, by the time I was there in about 2017 or so, the number of firearms in Australia was greater than it had been when they confiscated them.
Sure. Okay.
Because people like firearms, they have a lot of reasons to have them, and while it was fairly onerous to go through the procedures to obtain a firearm, you could get one. You just had to go through training and apply and prove that you had a legitimate reason to have a firearm, which could be as simple as belonging to a target shooting club.
The reporters spent a lot of time on the fact that these gunmen were shooting with nobody to stand up to them. There were no firearms on the beach. Nobody had a firearm. The firearms are not carried around.
I think there were 4 police there on the beach, and they did not do very well, in my opinion. I remember in the video I'm talking about, it briefly shows a female police officer crouched behind a car.
Okay, but there was no civilian interaction with a firearm at all, because it's just not common.
Well, it isn't. I mean, in the United States, there's about 20 million people, adults, of course, with concealed carry permits. And then we have 29 states where you don't need a permit to carry a concealed weapon. Arizona is one of them. And so we would think, with surveys, and they're always difficult to be precise with, somewhere between 15 and 20 million people, maybe as much as 25 million people, routinely carry firearms on a daily basis. And that's not that all people with permits carry all the time, but because we have 29 states, about half the population of the U.S. doesn't need a permit to carry a firearm. And handguns particularly have become increased as we become more urban. Handguns have become more popular. Back in about 1945, the best estimate that we can come up with from Gary Clark Point Blank, one of the scholars who studied this, about 27% of the firearms in the U.S., cartridge firearms, we're talking about relatively modern firearms, were handguns. In 2023, the last year I have definitive numbers for, let's see, we added about 12 million, maybe a little more, firearms to the United States, to the private stock in the United States. And what that is those manufactured in the United States, plus those imported to the United States, minus those exported from the United States. The ATF reports those figures yearly, but they're about 2 years out of date for proprietary data information reasons. So, of those, 12 to 15 million, because I don't remember the exact number, 54% were handguns. So we're moving away from a mostly long gun society to a mostly handgun society. Well, or let's say a majority. I think the numbers right now are about 40% of the total, roughly, are handguns. Those numbers have to be calculated, and I don't have them.
But my reason for bringing it up is the amount of people that would carry a firearm in Australia, civilians, private citizens, very, very small.
It's almost none.
Yeah,
I mean, it is almost impossible to get a permit to carry a firearm. You can get a permit to own a gun and to use it for very specified purposes, like for hunting on this particular property for these particular animals, or for shooting at this particular range. But to get one that you to have the ability to carry one, some farmers are able to get permits for that because they live on very remote areas where animals are a danger. I met one such person when I was in Australia, a wonderful person, great guy, and he got a permit to carry a .38 revolver around on his enormous acreage in North Queensland, because he feared animal attack, and there were several dangerous animals up there.
Well,
and so but he couldn't carry it anywhere else.
Couldn't carry it into town. But this one,
No,
this was at a Jewish holiday celebration scheduled. First lighting of the first candle on the menorah. And
right.
So this was anti-Semitic. It's being labeled as anti-Semitic terrorism.
Oh yeah, I think it clearly was.
Yeah. If that were to happen in the United States, and it does, we do have problems. And something, as populous as that, I can't help but believe there would be private civilians that would have shortened this reign of terror. That would have made it.
It's almost certainly true. John Lott, is an academic who's well known and studied the phenomena quite a bit, and he's written several articles on how the FBI undercounts the number of times that armed citizens stop these mass murders.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that if you look at places that are where being armed is allowed, that are not gun-free zones, and I think you could say that the Bondi Beach in Australia is clearly a gun-free zone, except police officers, which are the obvious exception, that armed citizens are successful at stopping these attacks somewhere. It's in the neighborhood of 30-40% of the time, for places that are not gun-free zones. Of course, these attackers, as John Lott repeatedly says, they're trying to kill as many people as they can.
Oh yeah, just indiscriminately apparent from the looks of it.
So they deliberately pick gun-free zones to attack people in.
Sure.
Most of these mass murders happen in gun-free zones, and the murder that recently happened in Rhode Island, the murders there, it's a gun-free zone, university campus in Rhode Island. You can't hardly get more gun-free than that. And the other part of this is the beach. I mean, I carry almost all the time, and I've even carried on the beach a few times, but it's much more difficult to carry on a beach because you're not wearing much clothing.
Well, this is in the evening on the beach, and it wasn't swimming; it was celebration. Yeah. So you would have carried.
Yeah, well, I have even carried swimming a couple of times just to make a point. A steel mini revolver at the time. So you can do it. It's just become, you have to become a lot more inventive, but I'm digressing here a bit. I applaud Ahmed for his heroism.
I hope he's okay. Have we heard what? I mean, I knew he was shot.
Yeah, he's in the hospital. He had wounds to his upper left arm, at least two. I've heard two, and he may have had a wound to his hand. It appeared to me probably the left hand, but I'm not certain. And he seems to be doing well. I'm rather more concerned about the other older gentleman who you see being shot on the video, because he falls down. It looks to me like he's shot and falls down, so it's hard to know. Yeah. He may not have survived. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me ask you now. In our country, we get the anti-gun people all the time that will point out the statistics.
So in Australia too, the Prime Minister in Australia is already talking about making their extremely strict firearms laws even stricter.
Which there never seems to be enough restrictions. We need more. But
right.
But a question for you: they quite often state how many people died in the United States with guns. Most, I forget. Is it most that are suicides?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think about 2/3.
Okay, if you took out the suicides and did the killings per capita, the killings or whatever, would we be actually that much higher than places like Australia, which are very strict, no guns?
Well, Australia is very, from what I have been able to determine, a very law-abiding country, and they have very low murder rates.
Okay.
So their murder rates are very low, but their murder rates were very low before they put in their strict gun control laws. And their suicide rate went up when they put in the strict gun control laws.
And we know there's countries with higher murder rates that really have strict gun laws.
Much higher.
Yeah.
The availability of guns doesn't seem to correlate at all with the murder rate in a country. And it doesn't correlate very much with the suicide rate either. For example, Japan and South Korea have enormously high suicide rates and almost no guns, very few guns among the population.
They're more creative on suicide. They jump in volcanoes, active volcanoes so much, they put fences around them.
Yeah, well, I've studied this a bit, and it appears that when you make one method of suicide difficult to do, because this has happened in a number of places. For England, it was common to commit suicide by putting your head inside an oven and turning the gas on.
Wow.
Well, so they said, we'll solve this. So they made the gas less toxic.
Oh.
So what happened is that for a short period, suicide went down a little bit, and suicide by sticking your head in an oven went down a lot, and then they switched to other methods.
Yeah.
I mean, it's substitution happens. It takes a couple of years sometimes. And with the internet, anybody can go on the internet and start looking up ways to kill yourself. It's just there. I mean, it's not hard. In Australia, suicide by hanging went up a bit, and so did single car accidents.
Intentional stuff.
Which were almost certainly suicides, but they're harder to be certain of if the person doesn't leave a note.
Right.
So there are many places that have homicide rates much higher than the U.S. Around the world, we have the highest, I'd say, using firearms. But so what? The point of gun control, at least as it's told to us, is to reduce the number of homicides or to reduce the number of suicides. But that doesn't happen when you institute gun control. Instead, there's a substitution of methods. And, of course, when you have strict gun control, the weak are more at the mercy of the strong.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, if a 100-pound woman and a 250-pound man don't have any weapons, the woman's at the mercy of the man. If they both have handguns, they're on a parity, I should say. So the firearms are, as the old saying goes, a great equalizer.
What's going to be the repercussions now of this? Australia, Brown University, also, and another push by the anti-gun people. The guns are the problem. And
well, I don't think it's going to have very much effect one way or the other.
Okay.
For one thing, Australia already had some of the strictest controls in the world.
Yeah.
And so by saying, we have to tighten up, I mean, it's just like saying, well, we already put all this stuff in effect, but it didn't work. So more makes it work more? I mean, it just doesn't. So we will, and because it's Australia, I don't think it'll have much effect on the U.S. And then at the Brown University, we just don't know what's going on there enough.
No, still don't have a suspect in custody. They had one. They let him go, I guess.
Oh, interesting. I wondered about that because the suspect they had seemed highly unlikely. He was, I think, a military officer from Wisconsin.
Right.
And I'm going, what? But it showed you that digital tracking doesn't always produce reliable results if they let him go already.
There wasn't any cameras tracking at Brown, apparently, and some people were really concerned about, like, how dare you not have a camera? Isn't that amazing? I'm still
without cameras.
I'm still kind of shocked about how many cameras there are available and people complaining about privacy and all that. And now the news is out there. How could you not have cameras? How can you not have cameras? Enough to where it irritated people that these news reporters kept pushing the camera angle.
Well, and maybe we just haven't come up with the video that's out there, but the word that I had read on the Brown attack and this suspect that was detained was that they had used geofencing and that geofencing indicated that this guy was at the motel and he'd been in the vicinity of the Brown shooting too. And I think that's what they used. And I haven't read enough.
Well, and that's a fair thing to pick him up and ask a lot of questions, but that doesn't mean he was that necessarily the one pulling the trigger or even knew about it.
Having been a young military officer who traveled a bit,
yeah,
it's kind of, I'm thinking of myself in that situation. Suddenly, the police are at your door at a motel and they're saying, "Where were you? What did you do? What are you talking about?" And you're absolutely clueless about why they are doing this. Not a pleasant situation.
No, but it's fair for the police to do that. You know.
Well, they're doing their job.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that and I just haven't read the reports. I'm relying entirely on what you stated here, that they let this fellow go.
I just heard it this morning.
Yeah, well, as of yesterday, I only heard they were questioning him and it picked him up.
Yeah. Well, so the Brown University guy remains large. I think he was in his 30s. You know, that's just a guess, I guess, but somebody that saw somebody, but dressed in black.
I don't know. I think he's the person. We don't know if it's even a he for sure. Certain is at large, and I don't think the further time goes on, two things happen. One is they are able to investigate more and maybe get more information, but most of the stuff you get pretty early. And the other is that the trail tends to grow cold. It's harder and harder to track. But what happens in a lot of these cases is the people commit a basic error. They talk, they brag, they take credit, and then they're found out. I don't know if that'll happen in the Brown case or not.
That does seem to happen. That no one can keep it quiet.
It's very difficult. It's human to tell some other person. Yeah,
but only people you trust. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. There's an old saying in the intelligence community, two people can keep a secret if one of them is dead.
Is that really a saying? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
I mean, it's just so hard. And very often these people are in their relationships are not very functional. We're not dealing with people who have very high moral standards, and a lot of times they're criminals and people with mental problems, and the people they talk to are not the most morally upstanding, and often there are rewards offered. So, there's very little.
Or they get arrested for something else, and they say, "Well, if I help you with this, will you help me get out of what I'm in?"
Exactly. Very common tactic. Happens all the time.
Yeah. Did you hear Biden made some comments about it? Joe Biden, former president, came out.
No. I mean, I almost. It's going to be interesting.
Let me read them to you, and you tell me what you think. But he said students should have the freedom to learn in school without having to fear for their lives. We must never accept senseless violence that leaves families and communities shattered. It pierces the very soul of our nation. Americans can and must do more to prevent gun violence and save lives. Jill and I are grieving at the loss of those wounded at Brown University, and we're keeping the victims, their loved ones, and all of Providence in our prayers. Now, on the surface, that is a heartfelt, proper statement. But when you realize it's President Biden that unleashed these illegal aliens that have raised havoc and killed untold number of people, who is he to say that Americans must do more? Who is he that did nothing?
I agree, and I'm sure somebody wrote it for him. I don't think he wrote it, and somebody released it as a press release. And what it puts forward is this emotional and irrational view of the universe, that we can perfect things. We can't. And there's a big question. I would say that firearms, from a purely practical, pragmatic view, which is what the unconstrained vision always looks at, the claim is that if you have less guns, you have less problems. But what we find when we look at the facts is it's just not true.
No, it's not been true.
You get different problems. And,
but I'm annoyed that somebody that's responsible for so much chaos, damage to
Yeah.
people's lives in this country. Say Americans can and must do more. I'm like, my gosh, man, you were in office for 4 years and could have done a ton to save these illegal uh, gangs from coming into our country, spreading fentanyl, death, and
You
mayhem.
know, I am sure Stalin's henchmen said the same thing. We can and must do more.
Right.
You know, it called millions off to be killed because that was what they needed to do to get, paradise, or at least keep their heads on their shoulders.
Right.
Yeah, it's easy to say we are going to produce paradise if you just let me do everything. Give me all power, and I will produce paradise. No,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you have to kill a few million people
But,
on the way there.
but you only have to kill that 30 million once, and then they won't come back.
That's
But
right.
unfortunately, they find more people to disagree with. It never stops.
It never stops, and this is a predictable trajectory that we've seen time and time and time again by people who claim they're going to produce a utopia on Earth. They find it doesn't work. The person who's most willing to exert power and to kill and torture to get his way to the top comes out on top, and then they predictably kill, torture for a long time because you can vote your way into communism, but you have to shoot your way out. Unfortunately, that did not happen in the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union actually fell apart because of internal contradictions within communism.
Right.
After we won the Cold War with Ronald Reagan.
Right, and it was a financial collapse as much as anything.
It was in large part a financial collapse. It was also a moral collapse in that the people in the Soviet Union knew it was all a sham and a lie.
Well,
and so there was no support. I mean, I think in East Europe, it was something like 30% of the people were in the pay of the secret police as informants.
No, you can't keep doing that. But let me ask you: do you see any similarities with the way Russia is going right now with what the Soviet bloc did?
There's a little bit. There's some similarities. First off, it's Russia, so it's still Russia. It was Russia during the Soviet era too, and Putin is essentially a dictator who cannot be voted out of office because he controls enough of the media and the electoral system.
But he's playing Texas Hold'em, and he's all in on this Ukraine. They've spent the treasure that Russia had, and they've spent the reserve capital. I
think they have. Russia produces a lot of oil. It's essentially an oil state, and oil is how they're financing the war.
But now that's producing a fraction of the money now because of the war.
Putin has essentially climbed onto a tiger and is riding it and has to figure out how to get off of it. I mean, I know it's going to sound a little strange, but because I study history and military affairs, and I look at Putin, I sort of have some sympathy for the situation he's got himself into because everything was so good. I mean, he obviously wanted to take control of Ukraine again. He essentially said that over the years.
Yeah.
But while President Trump was in office, he didn't dare do it because he didn't know what President Trump might do, and President Trump had supported the arming of Ukraine with effective weapons. And so once President Trump was out of office and he looked at the debacle that happened in Afghanistan, and he looked at how inept Joe Biden was as a leader, and then Joe Biden says, well, if the Russians take some of the Ukraine, we probably won't object, or words to that effect. I don't have the exact quote at the tip of my tongue. And Putin said, yeah, this is the time. This is our opportunity. The U.S. is weak. Europe depends on us for energy. We can take Ukraine, and people may grumble a bit, but it isn't gonna. It'll be over with. It'll be an accomplished fact, and then we can deal with it. Yeah. There was only one big problem: the Ukrainians. They
Right. But
So
they,
that's what happened. I mean, it's understandable from a geostrategic standpoint that Putin thought it would be a cakewalk because taking Crimea, excuse me, had been a cakewalk. Taking chunk of Georgia had been a cakewalk. Um, Subverting Belarus had been a cakewalk. It had always worked. Well, the Ukrainians didn't agree.
and some of that was the training they received from
Oh, yeah,
the Green Beret that had been in country since 2014 when they took Crimea the first time. Hey, I've got to run, my friend. I appreciate all the updates.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Of course, that was Dean. That comes in on Wednesdays, kind of our gun expert. We'll be right back, AM 560.
Well, it's all fun and games until you're stuck with bad internet. Not so much fun. Say goodbye to bad internet. Say hello to local support from a company that believes in better. Say goodbye to the spinning wheel of doom and the regular equipment rebooting. And say hello to a hassle-free experience. Say goodbye to the internet struggles of yesterday and say hello to a provider that picks our community and provides a product and service that's locally rooted right here in our hometown. Find out more at allofiber.com. That's allofiber.com.
This is Annette with the Humane Society of Yuma. Every day in Yuma, thousands of pets are waiting for a second chance. This year, the shelter has already brought in over 5,600 animals. And thanks to your generosity, our spay and neuter program helped over 4,100 pets be on a path to healthier, happier lives. Your charitable gift today means food, shelter, medical care, and love for every animal through adoption, rescue, and spay and neuter programs. Visit the Humane Society of Yuma at 4050 South Avenue 4.5E or at hsoyuma.com and help us save one until there are none.
To be a part of Russ's show, call 928-344-5258. That's 928-344-5258.
Since 1905, the Yuma County Chamber of Commerce has been the voice for business in Greater Yuma. Want to stay informed about Yuma's business community? The Chamber connects you with local leaders, business and marketing opportunities, and advocacy that ensures Yuma stays a great place for your business to grow and thrive. Serving all of Yuma and Yuma County, including the Kokopah and Quishan nations, the Chamber strengthens partnerships that move our region forward. Be part of Yuma's business network. Call Valeria or Ashley today at 928-782-2567.
Help the Humane Society of Yuma continue their mission of reducing homeless pets through adoption
Evan Brown on Memorial grows at Australia's Bondi Beach near Sydney, where two gunmen, a father and son, targeted Jews in a terror attack, shooting up a Hanukkah celebration, killing 15 people, wounding about 40 others.
In one vivid scene, a bystander can be seen crouched and then tackling one of the gunmen, wrestling him to the ground, taking the gun away, and then pointing him out to the police.
Fox's Greg Falcott. Police killed the older gunman. His son's in a coma in a hospital. America's listening to Fox News.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
From the News 11 Information Desk, I'm Madeline Murray. The Dorothy Young Memorial Light Parade made its return to downtown Yuma over the weekend. The parade helped kick off the holiday season with festive floats, marching band performances, dazzling lights, and local community groups. The theme this year was Misfit Toys, where they highlighted forgotten or unconventional characters. The parade started by Sprouts on 4th Avenue and ended right on South Main Street in downtown Yuma. And local veterans were honored in Fortunia Foothills for National Wreaths Across America Day. Local veterans and current military members gathered at Sunset Vista Cemetery to honor veterans who have passed away. Family members of veterans and other citizens were also in attendance to pay respect and partake in the laying of the wreaths. Catch us on the TV side on News 11 every weekday at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
Well, it's all fun and games until you're stuck with bad internet. Not so much fun. Say goodbye to bad internet. Say hello to local support from a company that believes in better. Say goodbye to the spinning wheel of doom and the regular equipment rebooting. And say hello to a hassle-free experience. Say goodbye to the internet struggles of yesterday and say hello to a provider that picks our community and provides a product and service that's locally rooted right here in our hometown. Find out more at allofiber.com. That's allofiber.com.
There's a man in D.C.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark back with you. It's 7:05 on a Monday morning. Yeah, it's the 15th, so you got like 10 days before shopping. Let me take a phone call. You're on the air. Good morning.
We just hate you.
What? Really? How are you, George?
Everybody on the East Coast just hates you people right now.
Well, because we're 80 degrees. Although we may not hit 80 today.
It is 7 degrees wind chill or whatever, something like that this morning when I got up. Ask the fact checker. He knows this stuff better than anybody.
Yeah.
But it is cold.
Yeah. Well, we're balancing out the country for you just to help out.
I mean, it is freezing here. You know? Ooh. Anyway, I just wanted to, you guys should all feel blessed that you're in Arizona.
Yeah,
I kind of remember the line about Rehnquist when he first got his job as a clerk at the federal court in Tucson. And one of the things that came out of it is that, he goes, I felt the same way as the first missionary that was sent from San Francisco to Arizona.
Is that a missionary?
Put together a mission. He said, he wrote back after a year and he said, well, I don't really have a whole lot of hope for a mission here, let alone Christianity. Because anybody who has lived in Arizona during the winter has experienced heaven.
Oh, really?
And anybody who has lived there during July has gone through hell.
Wow.
Anyway, everybody have a great weekend or a great week this week.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
George. Thanks for the call, George. Yeah, I looked it up, George, on the, he's not on, but the wind chill is 11, not 7. So it's not that bad, really. It's only 11 degrees. And your high today is going to be 29. So not pretty. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was this morning watching the news. I was scanning through YouTube, and I saw that Russ. I need you to enlighten me a little bit as to why this happened. Is it so? Abrego Garcia.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this a few weeks ago. I said, whatever happened to him? And then I find out this morning that just scanning through YouTube channels and whatnot, that he's been free. So he's out roaming free.
Yeah, he was turned loose last week by a judge's order that said they didn't have the paperwork to hold him anymore because they didn't have a destination for his deportation. Now, another judge had ruled that he can't be deported to Venezuela because he fears for his life because of fellow gangs.
Yeah, every country he fears for his life. So
yeah.
So in essence, he just gets to stay, gets a free pass. This is the poster child for the Democrat Party, the party that rallies around him and loves him so much, and the hell with the American people and their safety. So this is this is ridiculous. I mean, don't you think? I mean, this airhead of I'm sorry, that's my take on her. This bimbo AG, who I don't know what she's done in the last year. I'm not seeing anything. I'm sure a lot of Americans will agree. You look at the Russia thing, Tulsi Gabbard forwarded a bunch of documents I heard. Shifty Schiff being involved in all of that whole scandal, which we all know, the dossier and all that, all lies. The pipe bomber. You look at LaQuisha James, and I hear about Abrego Garcia. What happened to Comey? This whole 8647 or whatever number he put there on the beach. He outlined on the beach, and then the Fabulous Six, our own beloved psychotic Mark Kelly, doing, in my opinion, engaging in something what I call, in my own opinion, treason or seditious. I mean, they're going to get away with it. So that whole list I just gave you right now. Yeah. I mean, what's becoming of all that?
Well,
when are we going to hear? Or when are we going to see or hear something like I said, this Russia scandal that these crooked judges, this airhead AG said that I'm going to go after these corrupt judges and they're all going to be prosecuted and the corrupt prosecutors will be prosecuted. Mm-hmm. She ran on that and she hasn't done a darn thing. So I asked the question: what monumental thing has this Bondi airhead? What has she done?
Okay. Fair question. And I understand the concern. I was listening to Victor Davis Hanson the other day explain the situation of what Trump's up against and what the entire administration's up against, and that they've got some real people fighting like crazy. Bondi being one of them, and Victor Davis points that out, but says that the deep state and the amount of people in the deep state is bigger and deeper than you think, and they have most of the talent. They have the talent within the system to thwart, to stall, and Trump has talent on his side, but most of it's newer talent doesn't understand all of the deals as they're learning quickly. But they're making great progress. But time will tell if they can get through this deep state to get everything enacted, because you keep having these judges that will block, and intentionally try to thwart and buy time for the Democrat Party to take back over control. And that's worked for him for years. And Victor Davis says that it's unknown how successful in the long run it's going to be. He said they've done heroic things, including Bondi. They've gone after, but they're getting beaten because they can't put. Trump cannot put the guys with the most experience and talent on his staff because they're the ones that are in the deep state. And he did that during the first term, and he got tricked on that. That people says they're loyal and all that, and he values loyalty more than experience right now.
Right.
So he's getting loyalty, and Bondi being loyal, but she doesn't have the staff that the deep state has accumulated in order to fight these fights, although she's gaining it. And I know it's been the first year, and everyone's frustrated it hasn't been enough. But it's been amazing what he's done with the indictments, amazing on who he's investigated, stuff that it would never have happened without Trump. Nobody else would have done this.
You think?
No, I do think, yeah.
No, I mean, and that's all. But time is running out, though, Russ.
Correct.
We got three more years, and let's not forget the midterms. Because I really believe that these rats are going to take over. They're going to take over, and it's just right now they're parroting affordability. They're the ones that cause this economic mess. I don't need to tell your listeners that the Democrat Party is a party of. I mean, I don't understand how anybody can continue voting for these lunatics. I mean, they lie through their teeth. And I'm finding out this morning that a lot of these blue states aren't going to comply with this big, beautiful bill. They're going to try to stop, there's no tax on tips, all because we all know that the Democrat Party wants Americans to live in misery.
Correct.
High taxes. They're the party of violence. They're the party of transgenderism, little innocent children. Are you sure you're who you are? I mean, this is a sick, demonic group of people we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
We have this AG who, I mean, we need a new attorney general. I know we had Sessoms, we had Barr, and now we've got, and I really thought, oh wow, she's blonde, and she, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not Marjorie Taylor Greene. She doesn't have that fire. There's two types of blondes. There's MTGs, and there you got the bimbos, and we got a bimbo in the Attorney General's office.
I would disagree with you. I would disagree. I think she is fighting, and I think she does have some fire. And look, with Barr. And Hansen talks about Barr a little bit, said that, he was somebody that was in the establishment. He was somebody that understood which avenue to go, how to get things done. Unfortunately, he was also part of that deep state, suspected that he wasn't going to let too much happen, that he was going to not necessarily be loyal to Trump more than to the deep state. And that's what Trump's facing right now. I mean, he's got to get some fire in there and some people that can do the things that the bars were unwilling to do. And he's got that in Bondi. He's got that in Bondi.
You think?
I do.
You believe that?
I do.
Wow. And I respect that. But again, I'm saying time is running out. I mean,
yes.
Look at this thing that Tulsi Gabbard forwarded. This is 6 months ago. We haven't heard nothing. There's no follow-up on that. They just found this pipe bomber at the January 6th thing that, these Democrats became so obsessed with. There's no follow-up on that. Look at LaQuisha James. She's out roaming. Comey, he puts whatever that number was, 8746 or something on the beach, which indicates what? Murdering the president? He's out roaming free. And now Abrego Garcia. And that bimbo said, he will never, ever roam the streets free again, and he's out.
Well, and that's what she had lined up, and she got beat by some deep state judges temporarily. You don't believe for a minute that you think this is over.
How come that lunatic Merrick Garland, who thank God never made it to SCOTUS, how come he was able to because of the deep state, I guess.
Because he was protected. Right? He was absolutely protected.
Well, who's protecting us? I mean,
nobody. That's the point.
Wow.
Nobody.
We have no immunity.
No. No. And if the Dems get back in there, they're going to impeach Trump every week.
Well, they're going to do that. That's what I really believe. They're going to take over, Russ. I hate to sound doom and gloom, man, but it is what it is. For the life of me, I don't understand why people keep voting for a party that wants to raise taxes, interest rates. They're the party of illegal aliens.
But they do because they
pedophiles.
They've made you believe that Trump is the devil, that Trump is going to do something even if he hasn't done it yet. And somehow these people have voted him. But more and more Republicans are still growing as a party. And granted, this group that has entrenched itself has continued to make roadblocks, has continued to trip, but they're not going to be successful at all the time. What is Trump right now? 26-2 in the Supreme Court for everything he's taking to the Supreme Court. The problem is everything he takes to the Supreme Court takes time, and it slows down his progress. It slows down what he's doing, but it doesn't stop it. But you're right about the time. The clock's ticking, and the Democrats know that. All they have to do is slow down, stall, slow down, stall, slow down, stall, and they're sacrificing these judges at time to do that. But
it's all right, and that's what I'm talking about. Like I say, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the clock is ticking. Time is running out. I'm not seeing results. I'm not happy. A year later, a year ago, I was on cloud 10. Wow, it was euphoric. And here I am a year later, and me and a couple of other people saying the same thing. Well, what's going on? What's happening? The Democrat, they might as well be in power. Like I say, you got a child trafficker who the airhead said was never going to walk free or be free, and he's out. He's free.
What's your prediction of the future? Do you think he's going to walk free continuously, or do you think that he'll eventually be gone within the next 6 months? You think
walk free at this rate? Walk free.
Okay. I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think that she'll prove you wrong. We'll see, though. We don't know the future. We don't know, but I know the fight is there, and these loyalists to Trump are continuing the fight. They're not giving up. Comey's going to be, re-indicted. He's already gone back to the grand jury.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I got to say that I work a lot of hours, because I work. I'm conservative. I work. I give to the country. I love my country.
Good.
But, so I don't watch a whole lot of news. I haven't really had a chance to keep up with everything. But, and I know the Democrats project everything. What they are, they project it onto Trump. And people are so easily brainwashed. It goes back to what I said. I don't know how people can continue voting for a party that, I have people I work with that say, They've left California because it's so expensive. The rent is sky high. The taxes are sky high. There's so much violence. So you come to Arizona. It's none of my business. I don't want to ask them what party they're affiliated with. That's not my business. But I hear they're complaining, and I'm thinking, so you're now here in Arizona. I could only wonder, did you vote these Democrats? Because they're the cause of all the damn problems.
But listen, the people in the game, the people in the politics, the people that are there, including the deep state and all those, they know that if they defy a Republican, they might lose their job. If they defy a Democrat, they're going to lose their livelihood. They're going to go to jail, whatever, because they're openly threatened. Even look at Gallego the other day, openly threatened anybody that would dare go after Kelly. Openly threatened them. And that happens. And sometimes, these softies take the least resistance. Well, the worst that could happen. And they think, well, the Democrats got to get back in power. I better line myself with them. And a lot of them do just that. They do. And it's unfortunate, but we're in a better shape now of spooling that thing out of existence, of actually exposing more of it and getting headway to where it comes back to what the founding saw us as constitutionally available versus being run by the deep state. And right now it's being much of it's being run by the deep state.
Well, so Rubin went after Mark Kelly, huh? For doing that?
Oh, Gallego threatened anybody that would go after him. Like Mark Kelly for making his comments on the seditious six or whatever. That because it's he could go back. He can be called back into duty, active duty, and be court-martialed. And he said, anybody that do that, anyone helping that, you better watch out because we're going to be in power and all. Gallego openly threatened him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
he's not supposed to say that out loud. He's a rookie, though.
Well, I don't know. I'm just not seeing what a year later. I don't know. I'm disappointed at what's going on. Little action, but you've explained it. And the one good thing that I was happy to hear on the news was that so Texas can keep the redistricting map for the midterms, right? This new one.
Correct, and those are big gains. Those are huge. That the court has allowed that to happen.
So Jasmine Crockett is she's probably on her way out.
Well, she's already announced she's running for the Senate, so
she's not going to win. I mean, it's almost impossible. I mean, she's going to, I think her and Cori Bush and that Jamel Bowman should get together and drown their.
Well, she'll become a Donna Brazil or something. Maybe get herself on The View or get a couple $1 billion to run a nonprofit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're going to be sitting pretty afterwards. All right, well, you explained it. I'm hoping and waiting. I really believe we need a new Attorney General, Russ. One that's going to go in there is not going to be scared or intimidated, because this was just not cutting it. I mean, she botched Epstein. She the whole mess with Epstein.
Well, I don't think it's botched. I think the things are getting released, and it's taking time.
You notice that they're not talking about it hardly anymore, the Democrats?
Well, you know why? Because they were talking about it like there was something mysterious out there that's going to scuttle Trump, that's going to bury Trump. We've got the evidences with the Epstein. Now the Epstein stuff gets released, and it damages Democrats. So, of course, they're not going to talk about it.
I know. They finally they tipped that barrel over and saw they didn't like what they saw, man. All of a sudden, it's like it's crickets, just like everything else.
It exonerates Trump. So the left made up some stuff. Even they released some pictures and said it was in the Epstein files. It was actually a picture of him when he was running the beauty pageants with some girls. And
Well, what about all the pictures of Clinton and Epstein and Hillary? There's a ton of them.
Yeah, they don't talk about it.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
So the seditious six, including this lunatic Mark Kelly, they're going to get away with it too. You think, huh?
I think Kelly's the one that's in danger.
Wow.
And that's if, and I'm not military. I don't know how it all goes, but if it goes to a military tribunal and all that, then anything can happen. And maybe he loses something. Maybe he loses retirement or something. I don't know.
He'll get a slap on the wrist. And does it matter because he's a billionaire, one of the richest in the Senate? Anyways, I'm going on. I'm rambling.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
Sir. Take care.
I appreciate letting me talk. Bye.
Not a problem. Take care, man. Bye-bye. And my fact checker wants to remind him also, and I'm sure he's still listening, but that even with Bondi, you need unquestionable evidence. Otherwise, cases are tossed. So they got to be careful. And they're tossed by liberal judges. She needs 12 to convict. And it's uphill, but it doesn't mean you don't do it. And she has been, I think. She's made some missteps by saying the black book was on my desk and we'll get it released and all that. And that was unfortunate. Epstein's books were on the desk, and Edward put something in here interesting. He said people vote for Democrats because their congressman is not as bad. It is all the other ones that are crazy, which is kind of an insane thing because they all vote together, including what you label as crazy, with the exception of Fetterman. He's the only one that seems to have his own personal drummer, his own conscience. Other than that, they're all going to vote for the crazy stuff, the Democrats. They seem to be pretty much lockstep, with the exception of Fetterman. He also writes, current polls indicate that Democrats have a slight edge with a generic congressional vote showing them leading by about 3.7 percentage points as of December 12th. However, the races remain competitive and both parties have a chance of winning a majority in the Congress. And I've seen some breakdowns on YouTube mostly where people go through state by state, race by race, and discuss the latest polls and discuss every individual one, and it generally comes out. I mean, it's all close, but it generally comes out with the Republicans leading in the House and in the Senate. But it's too early to call all that. I mean, that's if it were today, and with the current polling and the current stuff that they've got evaluating. So there's a fight, and there's a fight for existence, and that we need to continue to push for. Phone lines are open 928-344-5258. Last caller mentioned Jasmine Crockett running for the Senate campaign. And her seat is basically dissolved now that she's in now with the House. That's why she ran for the Senate, and she believed she could do it. She lives in her own bubble. Let me take a phone call. You're on the air.
Top of the morning, sir.
Well, good morning, man. How are you, Ted?
Oh, not bad. Listen to Dean and you and one of your callers, and I was reading the scriptures over the weekend, and now you know why we're not allowed off this rock.
What do we mean?
Well, since von Braun came over here and started the rocket program, we've flown technology at the trying to get off this rock and colonize other planets, you know.
Okay.
Hadn't worked out very well, has it?
Well, I think they've made great progress. I mean, you know, wasn't that long ago. I mean, I was a kid when they made the first moon landing. It was kind of amazing. So
yeah, we ain't been back really since.
No,
of any kind.
Not for 50 some years. Yeah.
Right now, you know what Australia was set up as, right? A penal colony, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Earth is for us because we can't stop killing each other.
You think that's what it is? We're a penal colony, Earth.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Penal colony.
I don't think so.
I know so. They ain't going to let us off this rock, buddy.
Well,
not until we get along with each other and stop killing each other and hating each other.
I think that's escalated in recent years. It has, unfortunately, and I'm sad to say it. I'd like to see more. You know, I was watching something on Nazis the other day. You know, the ones who went to the Nuremberg trial before they were hung.
Yeah, Prussians. Yeah,
and a lot of them, you know, some of the most miserable people on earth that murdered and killed and responsible for deaths untold,
right,
said that they really wish for world peace. I believed them at that point. I believed them. I mean, there is hope, and there is a sense that that's what we want, and somehow we get off track, and somehow like Stalin and some of the others said, well, if we just kill the 20 million people that oppose me, then we'll have nothing but peace. It never will happen. It'll never happen. You know, just the act of doing that creates more hatred and more problems.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried that. We tried that right here in Mississippi and Alabama with the blacks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was
there
was a tremendous amount after the Civil War, even that just you know, the KKK and all that.
Our government did it.
You mean with the experiments on acid and stuff?
Well,
those things exist.
Actual biological.
Really?
Through genetics.
I'm not familiar with any of that.
Yeah, let them fact check that. They were trying to eradicate the black race by, I guess, chemical weaponry, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But we, like I say, that's why we ain't off this rock of any kind. We haven't colonized any other planets anywhere, and we have the technology. But it ain't going to happen, Russ, because they don't want us off this rock. We kill each other.
I think they're supposed to have some moon shots coming up in the next couple of years, and I think they'll be very successful enough to launch something to Mars. I think so. We'll see.
I'll make a prediction.
Well,
we ain't getting off this rock.
Well, then you might as well then do me a favor and sign up for the Mars shot, because you know it's not going to happen anyway. So just go ahead and put your name on it. We'll see what happens.
I did already.
You did.
I put yours in there too.
Wow. Well, thank you for that.
Right.
And that's going to be a one-way shot. But yeah.
Yeah. Until we get along on this planet and learn how to live peacefully, we're not getting off this rock of any kind.
Many people do just that. Many people. It's just that we don't. There is not a majority of it, and there's not. But it's all possible. It is, and more people live in peace. I mean, you look at the safety we have in our country, this country now, versus what we had 100 years ago. It's amazingly better. Amazingly, even with angry people out there, the safety's better. We have less chance of problems now than we did 100 years ago, and it'll be better in the next 100 years. So
I hope so.
I think we're heading in the right direction. We're heading in the right direction. You know,
I hope I didn't ruin your day.
You never do. It's impossible.
Right,
you take care.
You have a good one.
All right, bye-bye. And I'm going to take a break. We'll be right back.
At Exceptional Community Hospital, we are redefining what emergency care should feel like. Fast, personal, and compassionate. Our experienced ER physicians and staff are here 24/7 to care for your unexpected illness or injury. Don't wait for emergency care when you can be seen in minutes. With short wait times, you'll get the prompt attention you need because every minute matters. And if your recovery takes longer, we provide the inpatient care you deserve. Exceptional Community Hospital. Compassionate care. Exceptional service.
What's up, Yuma, and hello, Russ Clark Show listeners. Johnny Porter here, and I just made the switch to Allo Fiber, and it's a game changer. Lightning fast speeds for streaming, working from home, and gaming. No buffering or slowed down speeds. It's time to ditch the glitch and switch to Allo Fiber.
Hello, my name is Denise Coronado, Director of Volunteer Services. Hospice of Yuma is thrilled to be the first hospice organization in Yuma County and one of 9 in the state of Arizona to achieve the Level 5 We Honor Veteran status. This honor reflects years of dedicated efforts by staff and volunteers to meet veterans' needs. We're committed to providing the highest level of care and support to veterans and their families. To become a vet-to-vet volunteer or for more information about Hospice of Yuma services, please call our office at 928-343-2222 or visit our website at hospiceofyuma.com.
We have another terrific week of weather with unseasonably mild temperatures near record setting. High today of 81 with sunshine, 55 overnight tonight. Sunny and 81 tomorrow, 53 tomorrow night. Wednesday, sunny and 80.
Sprague Sports is Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters, and Sprague's has been serving Yuma hunters and shooters for over 66 years. Today, we're in need of used guns. 1 gun, 10 guns, 100 gun collection, all are welcome and needed. We buy, sell, trade, and consign used guns 6 days a week and offer free appraisal. So stop by or call Sprague Sports today and let the friendly staff surprise you with how much your extra guns may be worth. Sprague sells thousands of used guns yearly and offers an exclusive lifetime warranty on all guns, a $100 value. So pick up the phone, get in the car, whatever it takes. You got used firearms? Sprague's is your place. Who knows what you're sitting on and who knows what it's worth? Let the fine folks at Sprague Sports help you figure it out. Used firearms at Sprague's. Sprague's, Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters. Responsible gun ownership since 1956. Sprague's, 32nd Street, next to Lowe's.
I'm Sean Gardner. I am an estate planning attorney. I help people get their affairs in order by organizing their finances and setting up plans that allow them to be managed in the event of incapacity and death with the least amount of government intervention. I'm not a huge fan of the government. In fact, I think the government is only there to ensure that my rights aren't infringed upon. Yet I'm more and more convinced that the government is the one doing the infringing these days. And so I like to help other people avoid government interference in their personal affairs.
AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark with you. It's 7:34 on a Monday morning. Phone lines are open, 928-344-5258. I started to talk about, Jasmine Crockett a little bit. John Kennedy had some comments about Jasmine Crockett when he was on Laura Trump's show. As you know, Crockett launched her campaign to be senator. And at the time, she said, I'm done with the senator sitting around doing nothing while Trump takes your hard-earned money, skims your Social Security, slashes Medicare, and gives tax breaks to billionaires. I'm done. That's how she announced. Kennedy said she was wrong on every single issue. Predicted she will lose her bid, be leaving Congress. I don't want anybody to be in Congress who doesn't want to be there. So if people are unhappy, don't let the door hit them in the butt on the way out. Supporters of Crockett have labeled her as the star in the Democratic Party. She boosts a large social media and frequently makes headlines with her outspoken style. And she does. And that gets her cash. I mean, people donate to that, which she found out. And she becomes more ghetto to get more headlines, to get more cash. Kennedy said she has confidence that the Texas Senate seat will remain in Republican hands. The people of Texas will never embrace her message. I don't know why she's doing this, but hey, you have the right in America to do dumb things if you want to. I don't think it's that dumb. I think it just gets her more campaign cash. I mean, she has to know her chances of winning are tremendously slim to non-existence, but doesn't matter. She's going to make a lot of money, more notoriety. She'll be the next Donna Brazil that, for some reason, has this huge following and doesn't win anything, or doesn't produce anything. But when people like Biden leave office, give her $2 billion. That's what she's looking for, in my estimation. I also get something from Edward this morning on Newsom, which is interesting. I didn't realize he was gaining in his bid for the 2028 presidential election. Just back in March, he was at 5%. He's now at 20%. Amongst the, I guess, the Democrats that are polled for the primaries. Kamala Harris beats him. She started out in March at 36. She's down to 29. But it's more than zero, which the person that comes in second before Newsom, I said Newsom's in second. He's actually in third. The person that comes in second is actually somebody called Someone Else. Yeah, Someone Else was at 30 in March, and they've dropped down to 22%. But Newsom's still beating the anonymous Someone Else. Buttigieg has dropped from 10 to 8, but I can't believe his name's still in it. AOC went from 5 to 7. Yeah, she's gaining like a rocket there. A long way off for the presidential. On the Republican side, J.D. Vance has been at the top, and I think he's getting stronger. In March, he was at 37% as a likely amongst likely voters, I guess, for the primary. And now, and in August, he was still 37, and now he's at 42. Donald Trump Jr., which I don't even know if he's in the race, is he? Is Donald Trump Jr. actually said he was going to run? I know Donald Trump, President Trump, has joked there's going to be a Trump on the ticket, but he didn't say it was him. I don't know. I have no idea. He was at 21 in March. He's down to 19. DeSantis was at 7, still at 7. Nikki Haley was at 4. She jumped all the way up to 5. Marco Rubio was at 2, and he's at 3. Marco Rubio is excellent, by the way. He's had a great presidency. Robert F. Kennedy was at 6 in March. He's down to 3. Vivek Ramaswamy, 4, down to 3. The Someone Else. Now, you notice the Someone Else is in number 2 for the Democrats. I had to count it. It's at number 8 for the Republicans. So we got a little bit stronger bench. The Someone Else is at 7. And the Don't Know, No Opinion is down to 11. So a lot of people have made up their mind. Like 90% of the people have made up their mind on the, at least right now. I mean, it's early. The race isn't over or even started, really. And since I want to get this story out. This one kind of amazed me. But the U.S. and the Ukraine have been targeting vessels that have been smuggling oil, tankers. The United States just captured one, took possession of it, and it was full of oil. It actually had, I think it was 1.7, was it 1.7 million gallons? I'll have to double check that. But the 1.8 million barrels, I'm sorry, of, well, there was an interesting story put on that. Apparently there's 1,000 of those what they call rogue tankers. I didn't know it was that much. Now, Ukraine has been blowing them up. Now, they've been blowing them up when they're empty. So there's not the big spill, but this Michelle Wise Bachmann, she is a senior maritime intelligence analysis. And she says there's a risk out there, a threat of a $1 billion oil spill if somebody were to damage, blow up, and cause a great leak from one of these tankers. And, we've had tanker spills in before that have been, great disasters. They go clean up, and they do clean up. And she's the one says there's about 1,000 barrel vessels worldwide that are trading sanctioned crude oils, oils that have been sanctioned by the United States and all that. Well, they just put these this dark fleet in there to do it anyway. Even with the sanctions, they work around all the rules. And and they're mostly older ships, and they fly they fly flags maybe that are not real. They which means they're not licensed, they're not insured, they're not running transponders and stuff. She said that there's about 350 to 400 vessels at any one time that are not only sanctioned, but falsely flying flags, which is dangerous because false registration leaves vessels stateless and uninsured, putting crews at risk. It's a huge issue for maritime safety. It's a menace to the environment, entails crew welfare. And they are older sanctioned oil traders. And they manipulate the AIS, I guess, which is what I said, transponder, that will actually, if you look at it, will put you in a different place than where they actually are. They start false flagging, spoofing, manipulation to show that they're somewhere they're not, fraudulent registries that don't exist, which means they have no insurance. The certificates of seaworthiness are invalid. And they've relied on international maritime conventions to have what's called the right of innocent passage, so they can't get intercepted. She said U.S. forces have used a legal tool called Article 110 of the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea, which allows boarding of stateless vehicles to stop these ships. I didn't even know that existed. Let me take the phone call quick, and I'll finish up on this. You're on the air.
Hello, Fernando here.
Good morning, Fernando.
About the soldiers, about not taking orders.
Okay.
If they were in the Napoleon era, first thing Napoleon would say, take them to the guillotine.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be stiff penalties, and I think the penalty's not guillotine for us, but would be pretty.
Well, it's the gallows or whatever you call it, but
yeah, it would be pretty stiff.
Real bad.
Depending on rank and what you're having, but and it's not going to include killing them on the field or anything. But
well, I know,
but I think people like Kelly have been setting them up. I mean, if a soldier does that, you better make sure you're right. They do have a right to not follow illegal orders. I mean, that's spelled out to them.
You can't follow orders. You're a soldier. You're committed to take orders.
But how do you know what's illegal? I mean, okay, if they tell you to start shooting up a grade school or something, maybe that's obvious. But most of the time, how are you going to know?
Well, how about that Korean president that one of his generals was asleep and he was announcing and took him out and shot him?
Yeah. we operate a little differently. I hope.
I know. I understand that, but good thing that we're in the Napoleon era. That's what I got to say.
Yeah.
The soldiers. He's a retired captain, or what was he, Kelly?
Oh, well, captain, which is like a colonel. I mean, he's a captain in the Navy. Is a colonel. So, high ranking, a great war record or whatever, a great military record and all those things. But what he's doing now is unconscionable. He's trying to create doubt in the military to follow the president. He's trying to create subversion, and it's not good.
My father was a lieutenant in the Mexican Army. He got the lieutenant not by not taking orders, by taking orders.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys are thinking about.
I think it's troubling, but he's running for president now, Mark Kelly, and he's hitting all the news and saying it's outrageous. I won't back down. I'm not going to be bullied or intimidated and stuff like that by people saying that you broke the law. I'm not going to be intimidated. And we'll see where it goes, but that would be up to the military.
One more thing, these people. I'm on traffic on 95 going into Somerton.
All right.
I'm going 25, and they're tearing into traffic without even stopping. And that's not one time, many times that they do it. I'm going to 25 and they speed into the line without even stopping.
Wow. What's backing all the traffic up?
Nobody. They just want to go on beach. Trying to beat you before you.
Okay.
That's a big ticket. They're not stopping at the stop sign. They're just running through it.
Run right through it. That's not good.
And that's wrong. In El Centro, Calexico, there's a Jasper Road, And I don't know how many people got killed by turning into the traffic on 111 without making that stop.
Mm.
They just run into the traffic, and then you got a 2 lanes coming fast, and they're gone. They
Wow.
can't stop. They just
Well, we
hit
need
'em.
need you to be careful out there, man.
I know.
All right, buddy.
Okay, have a
Be
nice
good.
day.
All right,
I
bye-bye.
think it's going to be a beautiful one.
It is. It's gonna be a nice day. Take care. Getting back to these rogue dark fleet vessels that are carrying this stuff around. There is an Article 110 in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea that allows boarding of stateless vessels to stop these ships. And this Bachman says it's my belief that they used Article 110 and they got on board that vessel and they were absolutely entitled to remove that vessel from global trade. And she's talking about the vessel that the United States intercepted. I guess that's why we didn't hear too many complaints from the left about it. U.S. forces recently seized the tanker Skipper, sanctioned in 2022, and found to be masking its location under a federal warrant as part of a broader campaign to disrupt illicit oil shipping. The recent Venezuela tanker was carrying 1.8 million barrels of oil uninsured. So that's $1 billion maritime disaster waiting to happen, according to Bachman. And she's worried about something that goes on that makes this tanker, sink or something problem. These tankers are older, they're not certified, and they're a shadow fleet. Now in the Black Sea, the target is to the Ukraine is these ships. They've been targeting them because they know that that shipping this oil keeps Russia alive, keeps Russia in the war, and they've been targeting them with drones to blow them up, and they've been successful at disabling. I don't know if they've sunk them, but they've definitely disabled them. But they only do that when the tankers are what they call all in ballast, which means they weren't carrying oil. They're empty. As it was carefully chosen, they were also flying falsely flagged, just like in recent cases of the 3 tankers attacked in Ukraine. The flag was Gambia. In the U.S. case of Skipper, the flag was Guyana. So I didn't realize there were so many. I didn't realize there was 1,000 of these things that are part of that dark fleet that are shipping this oil illegally on old tankers that are not certified, that are problematic because they could be something could happen to them where they would spill 1.8 million barrels. Not good for the environment. And then depending on where it is, it causes tremendous problems. Let me take a break and we'll be back.
'Tis the season for cozy nights, holiday movies, and full houses, so make sure your internet can keep up. Allo Fiber brings you lightning fast 100% fiber optic internet that doesn't slow down when everyone's home for the holidays. Check them out at allofiber.com. Hear that? Forget the sleigh. This holiday season, Santa rides a Harley. The elves at Bobby's Territorial Harley-Davidson have been busy loading up the store and showroom with the perfect gifts for every rider or aspiring rider on your list. From genuine Harley-Davidson riding gear, casual clothes, gifts, and collectibles, to the ultimate present, a shiny brand new bike. Don't settle for boring socks or ties this year. This holiday, give them Harley. Make their dream a reality. They've got the bikes, the gear, and everything else to make it happen. Visit Bobby's Territorial Harley-Davidson today, 2550 East Gila Ridge Road.
This is Annette with the Humane Society of Yuma. Every day in Yuma, thousands of pets are waiting for a second chance. This year, the shelter has already brought in over 5,600 animals. And thanks to your generosity, our spay and neuter program helped over 4,100 pets be on a path to healthier, happier lives. Your charitable gift today means food, shelter, medical care, and love for every animal through adoption, rescue, and spay and neuter programs. Visit the Humane Society of Yuma at 4050 South Avenue 4.5E or at hsoyuma.com and help us save one until there are none.
AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark with you at 7:51. I just got a few minutes. Wanted to talk to this article. It's an opinion piece about California, but it put some facts out there that I'd like to look at. I just told you Newsom's rising in the polls to run for president in 28. And he's setting in a state that he's destroyed. For some reason, people like that. They want it for the rest of the country. And he keeps insisting that California is a shining example of fiscal sensibility of America. This year, the Legislative Analysis Office, the LAO, is projecting 18 billion deficit for 26-27 for California. And it's a shortfall, 5 billion worse than what lawmakers admitted earlier. You know, it's getting worse. I don't know how you keep doing that year after year, unless you get bailed out by the federal government, which of course Trump's not going to do for him. They're facing structural deficits of 15 to 25 billion every year, at least through 2029. I mean, this is just a mess. And they don't seem to care about it. They don't seem to recognize it. There's no panic. There's no cutting. There's nothing like that going on. So this article is an opinion that goes through like, well, what is the problem? The first problem they list is when the money comes in, politicians spend it. I agree with that. When the money slows down, they spend even more. Rather than tightening belts or prioritizing necessities, lawmakers have layered on new programs, extended benefits, and make long-term promises on temporary revenue spikes. I think obvious. And Newsom and legislative leaders have hailed these expansions as investments. The truth are obligations that don't disappear when the economy dips. The biggest drivers of the fiscal crisis include massive increases in Medi-Cal, safety net programs, especially expansions to undocumented residents, which analysis warn are growing faster than the revenue base. Billions spent annually on homelessness programs with little measurable progress as homelessness soars in major California cities. There's a reliance on Silicon Valley tax revenue, which swings wildly depending on tech stock valuations, and some of these companies are relocating to more tax-favorable states. And costly backfilling of shrinking federal funds, forcing California to shoulder more of its entitlement programs. Yeah, and that's continuing on, especially with SNAP programs and stuff like that, which they refuse to open records to tell the federal government on where the money's going. They don't want to, because it's illegal to give SNAP benefits to illegal aliens. And of course they're doing that. So they're suspected of it anyway. Politicians have spent years using accounting gimmicks, fund transfers, delayed payments, borrowing from special accounts to mask the red ink. The Legislative Analysis Office says now these one-time solutions have mostly been exhausted. Newsom's budget fantasy has hit reality. And in what California, the progressives call a utopia that should be modeled for America, it proves that big government can work. But you can't call yourself a model if you run chronic deficits. Rather than tightening the belt or prioritizing necessities, lawmakers have layered on new programs, expanded benefits, made long-term promises based on temporary revenues, hollows out your reserve. They can't control spending. They depend on a tiny group of wealthy taxpayers, have the highest poverty rate when adjusted for cost of living. And California's literally living paycheck to paycheck. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Paycheck to paycheck to paycheck.
There you go, man. How are you, man?
Pretty good.
Good.
Well, first of all, Newsom is gruesome. Now he has Kelly. I guess they'll run together, huh?
Maybe. Kelly's thrown his name. So's our other senator.
Our other senator?
Arizona's other senator. Both of them are running for president.
Galeo?
Yeah. Gallego.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
he's an idiot. Any politician that goes and helps
seditious six.
Labor issues is something else. I mean, they want more money. Okay, what's our minimum wage going to be here pretty soon, Russ? Is it supposed to go up again?
Every year. It goes up every year based on inflation, according to the law as it is now, because it was passed by voters to have a minimum wage at a higher level. I don't remember what it was started, but every year it goes up according to the cost of living.
Wow.
Yeah, every year. Every year you get a raise if you're on minimum wage.
Did you talk about Rob Reiner today?
Ah, it was
This
terrible.
morning?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, his son.
Well,
There-
his son's being questioned, but that's
Yeah.
normal. I don't know.
I read an article. You know how these articles are.
Yeah.
Are they true now? He's been a drug addict for a long time, and he was also transitioning to be a woman.
Wow. His son's got to be in his 50s, right?
He's up there, but the thing is with all the pharmaceutical stuff he's taking, plus his addiction. Yep.
Well.
That's too bad. I don't like the man. I liked him as meathead.
Yeah. But this
you
shouldn't
know.
happen. This is terrible.
No, that's terrible. It's terrible. And then Mama, I don't know. A lot of weird stuff going on out there, Russ. A lot of weird
Well,
stuff.
I'm
going
reading
on.
some stories now that said killed by their son. I don't know how true these are. That comes from people.com. Wow.
Well,
Wow.
I watched the live interview last night
Yeah.
from the deputy police chief or whatever, and talk about avoiding. They wouldn't even mention their names, Mr. Reiner and his wife. They just said people are inside that were killed.
Right.
They wouldn't say how, blah, blah. But the Mayor Bass had told people that it was Reiner and his wife that were killed. But the police did not want to mention any names.
Well, the son's 32 years old, and he's no arrests have been made, and he's being questioned, according to the article I'm reading anyway.
Right.
But again, it's so early on; it's hard to say.
Too early. But for the mayor to be able to say it was them that was killed,
Yeah.
but the police department couldn't say that.
Wow.
You know what
Horrible.
I'm saying?
Well, they've got
Russ?
the homicide investigators looking at. That's a
Right.
telltale
Right.
sign of what they think, anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. I'll catch you later.
Thank
Russ.
you, man.
Bye.
Appreciate you. Bye-bye. That was Gilbert. I'm running out of time. I just got a minute or so. Let me finish up with California. California right now is the biggest population loss in the country, the biggest homeless population, the highest taxes, and one of the largest structural deficits in America, which means year after year it's built in. I don't know how they can keep going without making drastic changes, but nobody tells California that. They ignore the problem. It goes away, I guess. I don't know what's going to become of that, but it'll be interesting to watch. I'm out of time. I'll be back tomorrow. Life, Death, and the Law up next. AM size 560 KBLU.
There's a man in